All right. Hello. Welcome to Fireside Chat number 46. So, the three of us, if people are joining us for the first time, we are the managing directors for Codurance. Myself and Sandro look after the UK, and Jose looks after the Spain, and the three of us also look after the overall workings of Codurance. And during our time during the day, we often meet and we talk about many different things related to our work. And often these discussions go into the evening over a few drinks. And so we decided, why not just start recording? Because there are things that we talk about that I'm sure are relevant for a lot of people. So that's how the whole thing started. So these are our opinions. Often some of them are made up. There's no deep research into any of those. And yes, it's a way to engage in debate with ourselves and learn from each other, but also engage in debate with the larger community. So you're very welcome to join us. You can subscribe to our channel and join us live as well and comment, and we'll factor those comments into our live discussion. And also, if you have any topics in mind that you'd like us to discuss, you can propose those to us as well. So today's topic is, do we need project managers? So first of all, we like to define things. So we'll start with a question of, what do project managers do, or what is a project manager?
You are the guy that always defines things, Mesh. So I
Yes,
think you
actually,
should
I
Yeah,
define
am
it.
I am doing the introduction, so I don't do the definitions.
no,
Right.
I'll venture and try and give a definition, not well thought out definition, by the way, uh, I guess for me, it's a role that looks after the project's success. Yeah. Now, what do you consider success, and what do you consider the project? Varies. No, the mileage may vary here. You can say that success is finishing on time and according to spec. No, you can say that is finishing on budget or under budget. You can say that is people are happy doing the work. There are many areas, no, that you can look into, and the project itself, whether it's if you take as the project the product that you're working on, or if you take at the project one particular set of deliverables, or that definitely changes, no, what you'll be managing, so to speak. And a lot of the times the tools that they use to do that are related to estimating and understanding effort, and relationships between dependencies between people, or deliverables, and so on. And they try to, I would say, organize and turn things into a more predictable state. Yeah. So that people can make decisions based on the information that they have, and so on. So that will be my general, like, I'm generalizing a lot. Like, know that things like product owner, etc., may fit some of those descriptions as well. It would be good to have a conversation around that, no? But overall, I think it's you look over the project to ensure its success. In order to do that, you do basically whatever is necessary. You manage dependencies, resources, instruments to have visibility on progress, and so on and so forth. How's that for a definition?
So I cannot even add anything to it. I think that the main thing is about like who does all of those things. But yes, in a nutshell, yes. If you ask me, I would be in agreement. It's someone that is managing the project, right? So
Well,
managing,
and
of
what
course,
about line management, though, which isn't really strictly project management, but is that also part of
right.
it?
Now this is where we start like this is where probably the discussion will really start, because like I see the project manager. We can. I'm sure that you're gonna get into like if we like the role or not, or who should be doing that, because there is a, for me there is a distinction. So if you ask me like the first question, the project manager, that's what they do. They manage the project, and manage the project because of what? Because they want the project to be successful according to whatever success criteria they might have, as Jose already explained. So that's where for me it stops. Now for me, like, is before we even go to line management and stuff, is like I believe that management of a project is necessary, right? So I always say that architecture in software
But
projects,
architects are
yeah, exactly. Architecture is essential,
way to turn the
right?
crowd.
Right. Architecture is essential. But do we need the role of an architect in a project now? I would go back to that. So, but same similar to management. A project needs to be managed, and there are multiple aspects of management. But do we need a specific person to do that management? That's a separate question.
And to go on down the line that you, because you mentioned what about line management? I think my personal opinion is no, it doesn't do line management. Yeah. I think in most organizations, because there is no structure or no formal structure to do the line management, but there is a formal structure to manage projects. Yeah. The project management ends up having, line management as part of it. That's what I feel. No, it's a bit of a perverted role, no,
But one can
or
argue, I mean, I don't know if this is the thing that we want to get into, but one can argue that the other way could be a bit weird, because how can someone line manage you if they're not
Close
part
to
and
what
well,
people are
parcel of
doing.
you're
I've
close to
seen
you?
this all the time. No, listen, I've seen this all the time. Yeah. Banks, for instance, when they work with providers, you have someone who's the project manager, they tell you what to do. Yeah. But they're not there to talk to you about your salary, how happy you are, or whatever. Of course, they want you to be happy, and because they think that that's the best way that they can get the project to be successful and for you to stay there for a very long time, etc. But a lot of the times, formally, they have no authority around that, and they, in some cases, they are forbidden from talking to you around those things, because that is done by someone, from the organization that you belong to or whatever. That's just one example of what
I
I
know, I
mean.
know. I've seen it many times, and I've seen it like, again, one can argue, but I've seen it not work many times as well. I'm not saying that it's the right or wrong thing, but I've seen it not work many times as well, because there is an element of closeness that is important in kind of making people happy and understanding them and understanding their side of the picture, as it were. But I guess this is probably a much longer debate, right? And we
Have you
don't want
seen like
to.
Lawrence comment on chat is quite funny, Lawrence. So happy to project manage myself. Wouldn't want to be my own line manager though.
Why not? Why? Give yourself a pay rise.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, so I'm not gonna be beating around the bush, right? So the question was like, do we need project managers? I would say no, but the but
But
I
it
do think
depends.
no. I will be more
Oh,
committed. Yeah, no, I'll make a bigger commitment this time. So I don't like the idea of project managers, but I like the idea of managing projects or projects being managed, which is different. And the exactly, so it's the end, like Marabez is saying. The For me, the issue that I have with the role, and of course that I'm generalizing here, so people listening, so of course, like I'm generalizing, there are people play their roles in many different ways, and so I'm taking like the what I see the most. Yeah, so just to qualify my answer. The issue that I have with the role in the wild is that those roles are detached from the project that they manage. So they manage the project from outside. This is a discussion that we had internally at Cogenius not long ago. The traditional project managers, sometimes they have very little, they don't have a stake in the game, right? So the project going well or not going well, they manage from outside. And because they are not part of the project themselves, they don't have accountability for the, well, some place they might have, but like they are not directly doing the job themselves. They're not close to the details. They end up having a very simplistic view of the management. For example, how many story points did you commit? Did you achieve that by a certain date? Why was this was not done by a certain date? Why did you have this problem there? So they need to be asking those questions, but they themselves, for me, a good project manager would know the answers already because they are part of it. But being separate, I think that is creates a friction that is unnecessary.
I
I
can see
think.
how that. Yeah. Sorry,
Sorry, go.
Mash. You wanted. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that actually, when you can get when you get the dynamic that where a project manager or can say, "Oh, the team didn't do a good job," or they gave me this estimate but they didn't actually do it, or they are being slow, or when they can say things like that, that's when you have a completely unnecessary or wrong dynamic. Basically, that's when project management is actually more toxic, and it's actually not really helping anybody.
I agree. I because I also have like a positive on that kind of detachment that you're saying, Sandra, as well, which is you have a different perspective on things. Yeah, you're able, while you're working on things, it's very easy to get lost in the details and to focus on the thing that you have in front of you. Yeah, and lose sight of the whole, lose sight of the bigger picture and so on. And having that kind of detachment to some extent, uh, that perspective, not detachment, because detachment is not the right word. No, is having that external perspective, or look at things from, a distance, not from the detail. Then no, I think that's very valuable as well, because you can then bring people back into what's important. You can actually have those conversations and refocus the energy where it needs to go, and get people solving the right problems to solve. Yeah, and I think that's very important to have.
No,
uh,
no, yeah.
as I say it all the time. And if you're, I mean, one thing is, completely blaming others. No, like, okay, the team didn't, but what did you do? Because my question would be like, what did you do when you saw that that was not happening? How did you
No, I just kept track
correct
of
that?
my spreadsheet. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
No,
what I've
I
done. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
updating the spreadsheet every week. That's what I
yeah,
do.
exactly. So that's not. I would say that that is not uh, a way to do it that is adding value and is really contributing to the success of the thing, no, of the project. But uh, let's face it, someone needs to track the budget, and someone needs to like, there are certain things that need to be
It's
done, and not necessarily developers are the best people to be
Yeah,
doing them.
it's like any other role that you would have that you deem important for a perspective, and it's also about focusing on different aspects of what needs to happen, right? That as a developer, your daily focus is on building that feature, maybe testing it, getting it out the door, and so on. But and similarly, we talked about QA in our previous episode. We talked about the certain kind of focus and perspective that they bring, right? Same with product owner, same with the manager, whether that is, and this is something we'll talk about, whether what kind of different species of manager you get in projects. But the same with the manager, there are many perspectives, as you said, which require focus, that you can't expect people who are doing other jobs as well, and their focus should be on something else, to keep doing this in a in a good way. especially in places where things are more complicated, where organizations are bigger and more complicated, where there's a larger distance between what you're doing and how that gets out into production. And we can argue about that distance as well in a different fireside chat maybe. But I think there are there are certain types of responsibilities that are important to the success of the project. And if you rely on everyone to have all the different types of focus, then by definition you have no focus in the team. And I think, again, this role helps you create some that kind of focus, right?
Yeah, see, I partially agree with what you both are saying. So, first, Jose, for example, I totally agree that someone needs to offer that support, and have that different perspective. It's also related to what you were saying, Mash. Having that different perspective and be able to advise the team and then helping them to resolve certain things. But this is very different from what we normally see from a traditional project manager, right? So because the issue that I have with the role, or maybe how the role is performed, is the distance that person has from the team. For example, they don't feel part of the team. This is one of the main issues that I have with the role. They treat the team as a separate entity. They say like they use like the pronouns like they, or the team is not doing that, or the team is doing that. They don't include themselves as part of the problem. And I like the idea of having like some support for the teams that have that external perspective, but that's very different from managing the team. That is more about like asking questions. Hey guys, I noticed that you are struggling with this. Do you need help in that, or we need to be worried about that? So that is a supporting mechanism that can be done from many different ways and from different professionals in the organization. In terms of what you're saying, Mash, this is what I was saying at the beginning. I normally don't like the role, the project manager role, and how it is performed, but I think that a project needs to be managed. And this is where the conversation for me gets very interesting, because there are a lot of aspects of managing a project, and that includes budgeting, like, for example, all the financial aspect, the return on investment. Are we meeting the requirements? Are we satisfying our stakeholders? And then there is also all the different risks that the project will have, every project has, in terms of what's being built, but also the people itself, like the people within that project. If their needs are being fulfilled, if they're being like looked after and stuff. Because like when you have an unhappy team is a direct threat to the success of the project, right? So all of those are different aspects of management that they need to happen. But in order to do all those different levels of management well, it helps if you are part of the team, if you're close,
Yeah.
you
No,
consider
that
yourself as a member of the team,
no, that
right?
goes without saying. Now we were saying that earlier as well, right? We're taking it from the point of view that the manager role. That's why I called it a role within the team. It needs to be a role in the team. I think Lawrence is saying put product managers and engineering managers on the team. Yes, I mean that goes without saying. I mean, if they are apart from the team, then then they are actually they have this kind of separate identity from the team. And that's when they can say that the team, I'm doing a great job, but the team is not. No, actually, if the team is not doing a great job, you're part of the team, you are not doing a great job. And that's the dynamic that you need to have when you have managers.
That's part of the definition of team, like
Yeah,
a
exactly.
common objective, and everyone needs to contribute in order to get that. It can't be that I
Exactly.
reach the objective and you don't,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
don't,
exactly.
the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it seems that we have some consensus that like we agree that projects need to be managed, right? We might not necessarily like how that management responsibility is divided or assigned. Who should do that?
Yeah, so
Because
this is
yeah,
this is a question that I would like to. Okay, so let's say we're not gonna have project managers. Yeah, what do we have instead? Like, how does the project get managed in a scalable, repeatable way that it doesn't depend on people? Because I've seen people who are developers and they also manage projects, right? Like they're able to do that, but it is a difficult thing to do. It usually these are people that tend to be quite strong in many areas, not just coding, right? Like they have people skills, they're good at planning and executing, etc.
Organization, everything. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
So having the full package is ideal, no? But you may not be able to get that all the time, or not be able to get that, let's say, whenever you need it, no? Especially if you're thinking of economies of scale, no? If I need 5 project managers, no, or 5 projects managed, what do I do? Do I suddenly start picking people from, no, and just give them the extra additional responsibility to deal with, even though if they're not ready? Like, what would, you know what are some ideas, let's say, or some situations that you've seen work in the past that are not directly, we assign a project manager and that works?
I think that it's good to for us to make that distinction, Jose. For example, we can talk about two things a little bit separately and one at a time. Of course, the one is the a single team, right? The stream of work that a single team is responsible for. And then there is the economies of scale. As you said, let's say you have a department, you have an organization that has multiple teams across, like within, sometimes multiple teams within the same department, and then multiple departments, and so on and so forth. Because this creates the degree of management that we might be talking about might be very different as well, right? So maybe I think that it's worth us focusing in one team first, and then we move up and stuff. So as a suggestion.
There, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there is the level of coordination needed, right? When you have more network points, there is more coordination that needed, right? So, for example, if there is, you take it to the absolute minimum, you have one person in the team and who have a direct connection with users, and there's one user or one type of user. You don't need managers for that, right? Because anything that you include on the sides of it from a coordination, you're just adding an overhead, another layer of indirection that is just going to make things worse, not better. But as the network complexity grows, even within the team, you start needing more and more coordination work, right? And so, a developer, for example, they are focusing on on developing the features, but now they also have to coordinate with other team members. And then you start adding dependencies and so on. When you have other teams that are also working in parallel in the similar areas, the coordination effort requires is gets even bigger, and then you need more and more of that management, as it were. And when you include then, let's say, different types of users, more complex products, and all those kind of things, it just snowballs massively. And I think as the coordination increases, you need more and more of this management, and you need more and more managers. You then have to, even the management role itself starts getting divided. You got people like scrum masters, you got people, product managers, and so on and so on. So because the effort of coordination is so diverse and so complicated that you need more and more people doing it.
I think that I like the the different the many connection points, as you were saying, Mesh, and the more connection points, you need some structure to that. But there is, even in the example of the one-to-one, like a developer working directly with a user, uh, there are also different perspectives as well in there, because there is normally, when we have the developer working with the user directly, quite often we will think about the work that needs to be done. The user has a need, the developer will go there and do and try to satisfy that need building that feature and stuff, right? That's probably what we it comes to our mind. But we still have the cost of that developer. We still have the time that you take to make some of those changes. We still need to see if it's viable in doing that. We still need to make sure that like having that single point of failure that is that developer, if that developer decides to move on to another company, that is a direct threat for that project. So there is a financial
Risk
element that's
management,
still,
yeah.
there is a lot of risk management that also needs to be done, and that not necessarily that developer working with the user will be able to do all of that. And most of the time, they don't even have the skills to do that, or even like it might conflict with their own existence in that company, right? So because they will look from the project from their perspective, providing a service, but it's difficult to step out of that service provider role and look at the entity, the company as a whole, and all the risks involved,
Yeah.
right?
In fact, when I talked about one user, one developer, I was talking about a, a typical entrepreneur kind of creating a startup that they then have the user, like where they're managing everything themselves. But because everything is directly their concern, they end up, it's almost like a pull system. Those things, the need, those needs become important and apparent immediately to the developer, and they start working on some of them, and they may do it badly or well, but they will do it, right? And in cases where you are mentioning the context that you are mentioning, Sandro, of course, like if you are within the context of a company, then there's so much around you that is still theoretically a dependency. So you don't have one developer, one user. You have one developer, one user. You have someone paying the bills. You have, someone
Mhm.
setting up the infrastructure, the product, all those kind of things. Those things need to be managed, right?
Yeah, yeah, because the concept, I think that sometimes you try to define the project manager, but sometimes it would be interesting to come from a different perspective and try to understand what constitutes a project, right? So, what are all the aspects involved within a software project? From the initial conception of it, the business value, that why the company even wants to start that project, what they are trying to achieve as a business, the value that they're going to create, the investment over time on that, scaling up and down, the kind of roles that you need to have, right? So assembling a team that will be able to implement that with the right skills. This is very difficult. Those kind of things are just some few examples that came to my mind. That is very difficult for a developer to have that perspective, right? So how we are going to assemble the team, for example, because that it puts even the role of the team members, there is a conflict with the role of the team members themselves, is them stepping back and say like, what is this project about? What would be the best team composition for us to achieve that over time, right? So when is it the time for us to scale or to shrink given all the different business constraints and aspirations? So those are things that I find it very difficult for uh, a developer, because those are the streams that we go, right? So we go from a project manager is completely detached from the project, and the other extreme is to say, yeah, scrap the project manager, and developers should take over and they should manage everything. And I think that none of them will work well.
There's one thing that Mash mentioned in passing before that I would like us to go back to, which is with scale, even the management role starts, being divided and so on. No, the project management role gets divided and so on. I think this is something that Scrum tried to address by basically taking two objectives or two tasks that I think a project manager may need to look at, no, which are you have on one side you have delivery, no, and on the other side you have the team that is doing the delivery and so on, which are kind of pulling in different directions. So for keeping people happy may not necessarily be the thing that will get you delivery, right? Like, and the other way around, getting delivery may not be the thing that's actually, um, keeping the team together and working effectively, and they separated these two into the scrum master and the product owner, with the intention, in my opinion, to uh, basically make it a system where things can be balanced. Now you can have a healthy tension, so to speak, where these two roles, and this is bank speak. No, but
It's a
no, but if you look at, this is how Jeff Sutherland explained it sometime, no, as well. It's like
Yeah, I've
it's
heard it said many
it,
times, and yes, they
it's
were
it's
core
about,
in
one is pulling in, the other one is pulling out, no, to and that kind of makes it stable, because when you have those two things, and by the way, those two roles are in separate people, right? Because when you have the same person doing both roles, then you have the same problem, right? Which is one takes priority over the other, and it require a very strong character, a very self-aware person, and so on, to keep that balance, no, or to keep that stability. And I think that's also what we're talking about here. Now, that balance between getting things delivered and, that striking that balance, even in that one developer perspective, kind of thing, is part of the
that
issue there.
that there is a fundamental logical flaw in the sentence healthy tension. That's how, like, every time it was said to me, I was basically, yeah, crying inside, because there is, like, we and we can discuss it from the point of view of what we just talked about. What makes good project manager? And let's say the product owner and the scrum master, they've been split because of the scale and so on, right? And we talked about that
And
everyone
to
needs
keep
to
that
feel
balance,
part of
right?
the team and they need to have the same objective. When we talk about attention, right, what creates tension? Two forces pulling in opposite directions, right? And they should not be, if they are pulling in opposite directions, they're not, at least one of them is not part of the team. So like, I know everyone mentions this whole idea of healthy tension, but this is like complete nonsense in my view.
In a way, like I can relate to that because I worked for banks with Mesh, and we heard that during that time, these kind of things. Now it's important to create this healthy tension. This is very old school management as well. And in a way, if you look at project managers and developers, in a way, like this is what probably they were trying to do, is to create these supposedly health tension, like where they have the developers focus on getting shit done, and with the best quality that they can, and someone cracking the whip and say like, hey, you need to move faster and stuff, and is it done, is it not done and stuff. Because you also have the other problem as well, right? So removing the project manager that is normally cracking the whip, in a way you lose the force that is pushing theoretically uh, to deliver, right? So not necessarily, but we've seen, I believe that we all have seen our share of teams that they also like to take their time to do things, right? So because like like we go and criticize the project managers, but it's, we need to do the mea culpa as well, and then look at the developers as well. Some developers, they like to take their time, and they like to say, you know what, I'll be done when I'm done. I'm gonna be refactoring this class forever, and when I'm done, I'll let everyone know. And they have, like, how many times you've seen uh, development teams that have zero sense of urgency? Because one thing is to be focused on quality and delivering certain things, but you cannot lose sight of sense of urgency. Those things, they need to go out, they need to satisfy uh, business needs, and people are paying to do a job, and they're paying for the outcomes that are expected, not the necessarily just the means to get there. So although I agree with Mesh that I don't like these by design healthy tension, but I think that there is a need where people pulling in the same direction to bring the all the things that are important to the project, that is not only delivering with quality, but also deliver on a timely manner and allow the business to plan. Because ultimately, um, when we said at the beginning of the episode, like the project managers are managing the project, like to make sure that the project is a success. And then of course we were saying like according to which criteria, right? So normally the business is also trying to plan, like it's not that companies have an infinite pocket that they can just keep pulling money from there, or they might want to direct some of their financial resources or other things to other initiatives. So they need to have some planning. So planning for me is part of a software project. People need to have an indication of when things are going to be done, by when, what they're going to get, so that they can plan their business, they can plan their next moves. It's not that single project is the only thing that exists in the whole universe. See what I'm saying? So that's why that management and that structured planning, projections, and all that kind of stuff, it's important. And if you don't have a project manager doing that separately, the team needs to do that. Either one person or a group of people, but that needs to be done. Providing an estimate, creating a roadmap, and giving the business an indication of when things are going to be done so that they can plan is essential.
It is, but I think it's that the manager does that on behalf of the team and as part of the team. And I think they like I can understand like when people talk about certain kind of tension, I think or balance, tension and balance actually talk about force is always pulling in different directions. I like to think of these things as different perspectives that are brought together to create a common focus, right? And so,
I'll give you another definition. It's like you have two forces. Yeah, the
mhm.
one is pulling this way, the other, the resulting vector is going where you want it to go. It's a,
No, no, but
this
that
is
then
the thing. Like
employs.
we're all moving in that direction, then we're all moving in that direction.
But no, but the thing is, I think like sometimes metaphors can be quite dangerous, right? Because like if two forces are pulling in two different directions, and you are both of them are then not moving well, there is resistance, and so that central direction takes its effort. The idea is not to have that resistance. The idea is to create this common direction where everyone is moving at the same time in that direction so that there is no resistance. And in order to do that, you create that focus so that your focus, your goal is already creating that direction, that you don't have to pull things in different directions to find the right direction, if you know what I mean, right? So I
Mhm.
think it's just talking about different metaphors, but it is important because actually what that means is that you start with a common direction in mind and you're all moving towards that thing, right? And Sandro was talking about things like the ability to create the goals, the ability to create the roadmap and all the things. These things are very important, but also people happiness is important, all those things. So what you do is you bring all those things to the pot and you create a common ways of working, common processes, certain basic principles and kind of values within the team to help you kind of move in that direction, so that everyone's aware of the importance of all those different roles, and all those different roles perspectives are catered for in creating the goals, the values, the ways of working of the team. That's how I see it.
No, it's fine. I mean, I do like the forces kind of metaphor, especially with things like with gravity. No, you may have a, you have a planet, and the planet is orbiting around something, and then you have the moon, and in the end everything is moving together in the direction that you want, and they're all kind of crashing into something. You know what I mean? Like they're all. So that's
Basically a
this.
controlled crash.
No, exactly, exactly. Like this is the thing, because it is. I mean, yes, an idea. Well, you go, everything is aligned, and no, but because they tend to have, and this is again there are opposing kind of values, I would say. Like
Are they
product and
really?
delivery and some. Sorry.
Are they really opposing values like
I,
delivery
I
and
I think they're
happiness of
pulling
the
in a
team, for
different direction.
example?
Yeah, sorry. Again?
Say, let's say delivery of a successful delivery of a project and happiness of team. Are they really opposing values or opposing forces?
Depends on how you define success. Yeah.
Hmm.
If success means getting there with people happy and keeping the team and all of that, then yes, they are all aligned. If success means getting there on budget or whatever cost, then they're not
But
aligned.
that's
You know,
that's not the sustainable
there
kind
is
of success,
healthy,
though, is
there's
it?
healthy team, there is a healthy tension, and then there is Elon Musk, no, and Twitter. That's you know what I
No,
mean?
but I see what Jose is saying, and because like in a way, it is. I know that first the Lord has put a broken heart in there, but I think that I understand where you're coming from, Jose. It's not only how you define success, but who defines success as well, because some companies they will. Their success is like they don't care the means to the end; they care about the end, and they will sacrifice a lot of things as long as they get what they need by the end. And if that is, for example, that's why a lot of companies sometimes they might outsource and they might treat the outsourced company in a very detached way and say, look, I don't even want to know those people. I want to give them a bunch of stuff to do and I want that shit done. And that is like an attitude of whoever is paying and defining the success for the project. While other companies, they are focused either in building their own engineering capability or when they partner with an external company, they are interested in having that external company almost as part of their own company of building a very a strong relationship between the two companies because they feel that those people are producing value to the company. So the not always the as Jose was saying, I think that's where you were coming from, and that's what I understood, Jose. And if that is the case, I agree. Um, the success is like when people have a much longer term view, not just a short-term view of the projects. We can even go into that no projects kind of philosophy as well. And instead of focusing on projects, we focus on products and the long-term view. And to have a long-term view and healthy business, the people that are powering that business is important that they are part of the business. They feel valued and they want to contribute. Um,
And it's a cultural thing as well, and this is why I talked about values and stuff, because for me the whole delivery thing is focused on the outside, on getting the stakeholders and getting the clients and the customers and whatever what they are asking for. Yeah. And the whole team aspect, no, is focused on the internal, right? Like it's on what I need, no, or as a company, the people that I have in order to do that. And this is, for me, those are in two opposite directions, so to speak. No, and you isn't it's not like you cannot bridge the gap. And this is for me what good leadership also does, right? Like you understand that they are opposing, and you understand how to bridge that gap, both when you speak, yeah, no, to bring people together, but also when you should make that trade-off, no. And because before you were saying, oh, there things are pulling in different directions. Yes, that's if they're always pulling in different directions. Yeah, then you have that. No, it's like you're not, no
Yeah,
one's going
that's
where
what I'm
they
saying.
want to go, right? But if you can get one force to go in the direction that you want, or at least move in closer to that for a certain time, and then another to do the same, and so on, eventually, no, you're getting what you want as well, right? So
But but
that's
but
the way that
I think the
I
ultimate premise that like a team internally is not uh, aware of the external, just like and the other side as well, that external is not aware and sympathetic to the internal. I don't agree with that premise. I think that yes, it is the case with some teams, but it is not the case with other teams. I mean, especially teams where individuals and the teams are very well aligned to the goals of the business, and they are and their values, and they are kind of given the right kind of tools and skills and so on to understand the goals of the business, and when the business needs to move fast, and when the business needs to move slow, and when they need to sustain themselves and so on.
This
I
brings me
I don't
to
think they
another
need
point.
to
Yeah,
be in conflict.
I
I think
I I, I
they can be
agree.
the same force both internally and externally.
I agree, but that also for me denotes certain maturity from the point of view of the team, and this is where again, if you go to economies of scale, yeah, it's hard to get that maturity. It's hard to get a team that is,
Oh, it's
you know,
definitely
uh,
hard. There is no doubt
exactly.
about it.
So
Yes.
what do I do if I need to get there quickly? Yeah, you
Hmm.
no, you want to go far, go together. No, you want to go
Yeah,
quick,
yeah,
go
yes,
alone.
yes,
That's
yes,
kind of
yes.
the
No,
trade off
totally,
there.
totally agree with that. And this
That's kind
comes
of the
back
trade
to
off.
the the whole kind of organic and machine metaphor, right? If you want to control, and if you want to change direction quickly and do the top down, then yes, of course, you got cogs in the team, and they just need to be controlled, right? Uh, but yeah, I like that. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, there is, like you mentioned, Jose. Well, before I go to my point, there are a few things that are on the chat that I would like to address. I think that Marabezi and also Emmanuel, they were saying that sometimes the word manager in the title, even when they are part of the project, it already creates a feeling that they manage some things or they are in charge of certain things that other people are not. And this is a very good point. I think that certain terms they come with baggage. Although it would be good to discuss what kind of names you would give to certain roles. Like so, uh, and regardless of which name we give, at some point they will create a baggage as well. That's
Yeah.
another
I'll
problem.
give you
I
my take on that. Sorry, go for it.
No, I was just gonna tell you a funny story before we get back to seriousness again. When I first joined UBS, they'd just gone through the whole kind of scaling agile. They read the scaling agile, the scaling agile book by Craig Larman. I think Craig Larman was consulting there as well, and but and then when I first joined the team, the product owner came to me and he said, I used to be the project manager of this team, but now we've got done this agile thing, and now I'm product owner. But basically, I'm the manager. and, and and he had to
Just
come
tell
and
me
kind
whatever
of
you want.
stamp his authority. It's like, this
Tell
guy
your
may not know
daddy.
what the crack is. He's new, right? I'm gonna tell him I'm the manager, right? You call me product owner, but I'm the manager. But I think
Don't get any
in
funny
that,
ideas. Don't get
yeah,
any funny
yeah, don't get
ideas.
funny ideas. Exactly, exactly. But I think therein lies the answer to, like, partly answer to that question as well, is that you can name things whatever you like. If if the culture is not correct, if people are not well trained, if they are not aligned on the values and so on, names, it doesn't matter. They will do
Yeah,
what they've always done, what the culture dictates, what the true values of that organization actually dictate.
yeah,
And I would say that there is no way to solve that problem because the minute that you put labels on things, you're creating a division. Like, think about it. Now, if you say developers, you're creating developers, no, the group of the developers, the things that you're tagging as developers, the people that you're tagging as developers, no, and everyone else that is not a developer. You know what I mean? So you're always creating this division. So it doesn't matter, like, whatever name you give it, there'll be those and those who are not those. You know what I mean? And that can always be a problem. So I my understanding here is more about how do we integrate that division, yeah, and I think language has a lot to do with that. When people say they and us, no, or we, no, or this is something
yeah,
that we have to solve. Doesn't matter whether you're the project manager or the whatever. You're including yourself, and
yeah,
that already makes a difference. That already creates unity, and that's something that you can pick up from the from hearing people talk, and then you can
Mhm.
spot the dysfunction in that sense, right? So
Yeah.
it goes a long way, even more than the naming. The naming is important as well. How you call things, because this is the thing. No, you put a label, and people, we all have that label. Is not unique for everyone, right? Like that's just a hint for you to deprocess, no, and turn
Mhm.
that into a concept in
It's
your head.
it's a
No,
it's a behavior attractor. You know, in our design, we always talk about behavior creating behavior attractors, right? In order to
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. The
consolidate
same
and create
with
cohesive.
adding the same with adding lead to any role. No, team
Yes.
lead.
Yeah.
What does that?
Mhm.
No, and then the people
So
start thinking
so
about things in a specific way.
mhm. Yeah, I just want to bring attention to some of the other comments as well. So Dave mentioned 2 points that I think that are interesting. Like Dave Page, I think. Could it be that the more senior the developer, then there is a degree of less development and more people skills in terms of planning, of effort, liaising with customers. And he also mentioned then later on, and some companies do have development managers. So what I was saying, replying to him on the chat, is that I think so. I think that in a way, Dave, the I believe that one of the ideas of having a project manager is to be that multiplier, because the project manager, in a way, uh, they don't have a concrete output or outcome of their work. Their job is to make sure that more people are well organized and they are working in an optimal way so that the project is successful, regardless of what that success criteria is. But if we remove the project manager, I think that we were quite clear that we don't like a detached project manager. So that means if we remove the PM and we move the management of the project into the team, this is where you cannot have a very junior person, a person that just joined our industry, trying to manage all the aspects of a project. So, of course, that the more senior managers will end up naturally uh, managing certain aspects of that project. And at that point, this is what I was replying on the chat. The goal of a senior professional, a senior software developer, in the case that you mentioned, they become a multiplier, similar to what they were trying to do with the PM. So the value of that senior developer is not only the direct output of his work, but also how he or her or she is enabling the team to perform better, right? So, and I think that this is the role of I think we even had an episode of what does it mean to be a senior
Teams lead an anti pattern or something like that.
Yeah.
no, and we also had one on what does it mean to be a senior developer or something like that. I think we also had an episode on that, if I'm not wrong. But I think that the people that are more experienced and they take more of a role of managing or looking after the aspects of the uh, how can I say, the efficiency and effectiveness of the team, making sure that everything is being satisfied. So that's where the effectiveness will come into play, or the stakeholders. So we are achieving what we want to achieve, and we are efficient in how we do that. They act as a multiplier. So their actions will enable more people to work better. And for me, that's what a senior professional is part of their job,
Yeah,
is to
any
multiply.
senior position, yeah,
Yeah.
does is that, it's exactly it's making things better, is creating yeah, there is the force multiplier aspect, but there is also the other side of it as well, is that they are reducing waste, right? They're helping the developers do things in a more effective way. So where you're not wasting time, if you can, get this answer or from in a quickly, rather than kind of hitting x number of brick walls, or you're already told what the right way is, without kind of going stumbling through uh, a lot of these things yourself. These things also create waste, and people who are in coordinating positions and senior leadership positions, they are helping you reduce that waste. They are helping you understand and be more effective, basically. So not just that they are multiplying their effect is multiplied, because now they are helping a lot of people be more productive, be more effective, I guess.
Exactly. So give that direction to the team as well. So almost remembering the team, what is really important, what they are trying to achieve. Because this is another aspect that was also said in one of the comments now. I think it was also from David. About the different roles, like some companies have, like I think that he mentioned, I just need to go back into some of the companies, development managers and things like that. So uh, and I mentioned that I would explore a little bit some of the roles that we do have. We actually, funny enough, we had this conversation twice today uh, about the different types of projects, the different types of professionals in those projects, and the different types of leadership needed in those projects.
And this different types of
So
coordination needed as well, I guess. Yeah.
exactly. So we as a consultancy, like we have all sorts of projects throughout our history. We had small projects, big projects. We have projects where we have a full team dedicated to a stream. We have like multiple teams working in a single stream. We have teams that are very cohesive, teams that are very disjoint. So we have different types of professionals working on those teams. So we've seen a lot throughout our history. And a company like ours is used to assemble teams for projects and for different clients, and then uh, work with different clients and disassembling those teams and stuff. So what we felt is when we are able to have a very steady stream of work, for example, that we know, like let's say a company has a very good vision for the product that they are building, and we know we for the next few years we're going to be building those products with those features and stuff. Having the quite often having some very senior software developers, we in our case we call them principals. They can do all the aspects of the project. They can do the whole stakeholder management. They can look after the risks of the project. They can be on top of the return on investment of the project. So they can give the direction for the team. They can make sure that we have the right skills in that project in order to satisfy that over time. So, but there are projects, depending on how they were assembled and the kind of people working on that, some of the developers or the people in the team, they don't have that degree of experience that the developers can just take over the thing. So in person we have more control. We can create that structure. Or companies, for example, they put like a very good principal or very senior developer. They can have that. But sometimes the way that the teams are assembled, for whatever different reasons, that it's not part of this fireside chat, you might want to bring, in your case, Dave, I think you mentioned a development manager. Like in our case, in some projects, we have what we call agile delivery managers. They are part of the team and they are focused on the delivery, and they try to provide that aspect of managing the stakeholders, seeing what is important for us to work next, provide that, bring the team together, provide that support, that moral support, and make sure that everyone is looked after. But some projects we do need to have an agile delivery manager or an engagement manager, and some projects we don't. We just have a software professionals like principal and stuff, and they can take care of business. But those projects have different shapes as well, and the developers, they need to. I always say that, like, if you don't want to be involved in management, you will have a manager. Or the other way around, if you don't want to have a manager, you need to step up and do the management yourself and make sure that the people that are around the project, paying for it and expecting the results, they are looked after. So you need to look after them as well. You need to look after your own stakeholders, make sure that they are satisfied. Otherwise, you're going to have a manager yourself, because we have plenty of developers that's like, I don't want to do management. I don't want to do analysis. I don't want to do this. Or I just want to write my code. And as soon as the developers have that kind of behavior, they will have a manager, right? Because management needs to be done.
But even
I
I
also
think even when they do want to manage and they do want to do these things, I think it's those kind of generalizing specialist thing again. We talked about it last episode as well. That that does not mean that they do it well. That means that they might be on a learning curve, and they might, and of course, like management as well as with other things, everyone should do to some level, right? And everyone should at least have an awareness of it. But even if the whole team is very motivated towards actually managing all aspects, that doesn't mean they'll manage it well, because it is a skill. It's a
It's
set
a
of
skill
skills.
its own.
Yeah, and it is there are a set of disciplines attached to it and everything else. And you can't just get up and say, yeah, you know what, this looks easy. I mean, all that person is doing meetings and moving, creating Gantt charts and this and that and so on, and I can do that. But it's actually, it's not as easy as it looks, and there is a lot of skills involved within it. And just because you think you can do it doesn't mean you'll do it well.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and on that note, we are on the 1 hour mark. So this
is
is
it
the
time
time
for you
that
to raise a completely new
this
topic?
is now when I
When you raise a new topic, yeah.
no. I think
Shall we close,
I
Mesh?
yeah,
Yeah,
we can
I think so. I
probably
mean, we've kind of, yeah. I mean, there's always more to discuss, but yeah, unless Jose has a pressing thing to add.
it's all good.
So,
It's
so
all good.
what to
Yeah.
be our final considerations then?
Um, well, listening to this, I think having a role that is in charge of managing the project definitely makes things more scalable and provides a bit more clarity in how things are supposed to run. That doesn't automatically make it uh, effective or even the right thing to do, no, for the project. There are other ways other than having a project manager assigned, and we discussed some of those ways. But overall, you always want, whether you're doing the role or whatever, you want people to be part of the team. You want that common goal and that interdependence, no, in order to be able to achieve that goal. Um, so that it's really a team and it can really help in making sure that the project is successful. That would be kind of my takeaway. Independently of how you organize it, those things need to be there. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for it to be effective or to even work out.
And what about
Uh,
you,
uh,
Sander?
so, I think that there are quite a few things. One, every person playing a senior role, being a software developer, being a person that has product or UX expertise, or a tester or a QA or like a quality analyst, they need to be multipliers. They need to be focusing not only on looking at the outcome of their own work, the direct outcome of their work, but also look broader and how they will make the team more effective and efficient, right? And that implies satisfying the stakeholders and making sure that the whoever is paying for it is getting the value. Um, Another thing is we also need to recognize our own skills and what you really want to focus on, because we've seen in our company that we have some principals or senior engineers that they can take care of all the aspects of a project, but that means quite often that they end up doing far more stakeholder management, project management, and people management than actually writing code, yeah, or doing the core development tasks. And this is kind of a choice. I think that this is sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. I think that I like people that can do all of that, and when we have them, I think that we should treasure those people because they can sit down and write code and test drive code, but they can also take care of a full engagement. But sometimes in some engagements, I think that it's healthy to have some people that have management skills as long as they are part of the team. They are a team member. They have that responsibility to provide that direction, to hurdle the cats. Like some projects, they have multiple stakeholders. Not always they are even aligned. right? So, and we need to figure out a backlog, what to do, how to demonstrate progress, or even like look after some team members as well that might have some special needs, or sometimes they leave the company, new ones need to be brought in and stuff. So there are many aspects of management that sometimes is a bit wasteful to have some of your best engineers to look after them. And sometimes it's better to have like we call an agile delivery manager, or like a development manager, like Dave mentioned, but someone that is looking after some of the mechanics, the management of the project, because they are skills on their own, and they also free up some of the developers to focus on their core disciplines. But I don't think that is a either or. I don't think that is so much of a clear cut. I think that the context is important, where you are, the type of project you are, the type of people you have, the kind of experiences that they have, and we have both. We have projects without any person with a manager in their title, and we do have projects with people performing that role. And in both cases, I think that they were the right choice for the right projects
At that time, or
at
at
that
this
time.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And from my point of view, I think you've said it all. The important thing is that they are part of the team, even when they are not full time within the team. So they might be product owners, product managers, delivery managers, and so on, that are spread across different teams. But they are performing a role within those teams, and they are part of those teams. They don't stand apart. And I think this is a very important, and all the other things that you've said, it is an important role. It's often looked at kind of disparagingly sometimes by especially software developers. And I think you should look at it as just another role and another specialization within the team that is actually adding a lot of value. And if he wasn't there, then you have to step to it. And as you said, Sandro, if you're doing that, you might not be doing other things,
Yeah.
right? And you might not have the skills to do that as well. So
Exactly.
with that, I think we can close our fireside chat number 46. As usual, thank you very much for people who joined the live session and people who asked questions and added comments. It always enriches the discussion. So thank you very much. Like the episode if you found it useful, so that gives us a bit of encouragement as well. And suggest more topics and subscribe, so then you know exactly when the next episode comes, which is every Tuesday evenings. And also we stream it now on Twitter and on LinkedIn as well as YouTube. So, choose your poison. So with that, thank you very much. And thank you to Sandro and Jose as well.
Thank you all. See you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye.